Welcome to a new episode of MLM Renegade. This week, we're going to talk about judgment. So here's the million-dollar question. How are network marketers like us, who've tried everything their upline ever suggested to be successful, and yet still struggled, who grew up with technology and aren't stuck in the 20th century, how are we supposed to grow our downlines and our bank accounts, and yet still have time for real life? My name is J.R. McKee. Join me as we explore how to use 21st century learning and technology to grow our downlines and build lasting wealth. Simply put, this is MLM done different. Welcome to MLM Renegade. Okay. So I will admit that this is a few days late, but you know what? That's okay. Sometimes it takes a few days to get the right thing, and I actually took the opportunity this past weekend to go out into the wilderness with my sons, out snowmobiling, and we had an incredible time. And I had a great opportunity to kind of sit and enjoy the silence. I talked about that in a previous episode where sometimes we just have to be able to sit and enjoy it. And I tell you, when you're out in the wilderness and there's a fresh blanketing of snow, and I mean we were up in the mountains. We were probably 9,500 feet, give or take, and about 8 inches of snow fell overnight. And we went outside, and it is the most pristine quiet that I think that you can have. We were miles from anybody else. Every once in a while, you might hear the whine of a snowmobile engine off in the distance. But I just took the opportunity to sit there and to think and to feel the silence, and that blanketing of snow, it just muffles everything. And it's just this incredible experience. And while I was sitting there, I had this thought that I wanted to talk a little bit about maybe the state of the world right now, but not in specific terms. Really, what I wanted to talk about was judgment and generosity. And they have a lot in common. And sometimes I think that we don't necessarily think that they have a lot in common, but they really do. And, it was funny. I was reading in some scripture here last week, and there was really something that stuck out to me, and really kind of the genesis of this episode came from this, and it comes from the book of Matthew in the Bible, chapter 7, and it says, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, judge not, that ye be not judged. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged, and with what measure ye mete, it shall be measured to you again." Now, I think a lot of times this "judge not, yes, lest ye be judged" comes out, and the thing that really struck me in this, though, was actually the end of it, where it says, "With what measure ye mete, it shall be measured to you again." So really, I mean, we've been taught since we were little kids that the golden rule, right? The golden rule is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Don't do something to somebody because you wouldn't want it done to you. Or the positive inverse of that is do good things for people because you would want them to do them for you. And, I've seen some really interesting things here in the past few weeks. We had the state of Texas was thrown into disarray. Not just Texas, but really the entire south of the United States was thrown into total disarray by a snowstorm and ice storm. And I have family in that area. I have an aunt who is in the Dallas area who actually has horrific rheumatoid arthritis. And she actually moved to Texas to get away from the cold of Colorado. And here comes a wicked snowstorm and blows out her power for more than 3 days. And so, really bad things happening there. My little sister and her family were basically had to go to stay with friends because for more than 3 days they were without power and their pipes were freezing. They ran out of water and there was no heat, obviously. And these are all lousy things to happen. My brother, it was in Dallas and was dealing with power outages, And I have friends who are in Memphis or who are in Little Rock who basically life ground to a halt because of the snow. And the measure that I would hope, if I was in those areas, that I would be able to give to other people would be that of service. That it wouldn't be one of judgment on their preparedness or lack thereof, but really just going out of my way to help other people. I can't count how many times in my own life I have seen good karma get returned very quickly, and how many times I've been able to experience the joy of helping someone else. Now, just this past Sunday, we got a snowstorm here in Utah, and my family was able to go out and clear the snow both from our own driveway, but then also for an elderly couple across the street and another couple down the street who just does amazingly wonderful things for us all the time. Like, this family will drop any opportunity, any chance that there is a holiday or a birthday or anything, this family will leave us a treat on our doorstep. Like, it's hilarious because there are always treats, and like literally I think we could probably ascribe a few pounds on my waistline to this family. And as my family was doing this, it was my wife and my son at this point, as they were clearing off the snow, these neighbors came out and were so happy and so touched that we were clearing their snow. And this snow clearing, they asked, well, how could we repay you? And my wife looked at him kind of cross-eyed, like, are you kidding? We still owe you for all the treats that are on our front doorstep. And I think, they didn't think anything of those things. We didn't think of anything of clearing snow. Frankly, we were being neighborly. We had the equipment, we had the tools, we had the manpower to do it. And so we did. Now, I think many times, especially when it comes to judgment, we want to be judged on our best, and we want to judge others at their worst. And the inverse, the really difficult part that sprouts up regularly with social media especially, is this idea that we look at the best of somebody's life on Instagram or on Facebook or wherever else, and we compare it against our worst. So we're literally comparing their best to our worst. And it's a false narrative. It's a false reality that we're creating, and that we're building up these other people and tearing ourselves down. And so the Savior, when he says this, judge not lest ye be judged, he's warning us, one, that his judgment is the only one that matters. Now, I don't want to delve too far into the religiosity of this, but it can be taken even at a secular level, where nobody wants to be a hypocrite. Nobody wants to live in a manner that's inconsistent with their values. Some people's values are different, and we take each person for what they are. But when we are in a spirit of judgment, when we're in a spirit of making judgments or casting aspersions, we're really in this spot that is not healthy. It's not happy, and it doesn't really serve us well. I implore everybody that we take time to think about how we interact with those around us. That we take time to, instead of casting judgment, we give generously. And we have a generosity that allows us to see the best in others, to see others as their best selves, because that's how we want to be seen. I think about how when it says meet unto you as you've been generous. Basically, meet or measure we're talking about. If we were going to go and get rations, for example, we would want to get an equal measure. We wouldn't want to get shorted or shafted. And frankly, it wouldn't be fair if we got more than was the allotment either. And when we're able to measure things in an equal fashion, we all are better off. Now, there's a lot of talk in the media right now about equality and equity, which are not the same thing, by the way. And I am a firm believer in in the equality of opportunity, or I should say basically in the equality of opportunity, meaning everybody has the same opportunity. But I'm not in favor of equity or equity of outcome. Okay, I'm not in favor of somebody not shoveling their driveway and then expecting the neighbors to come and do it for them when they haven't given freely of themselves. I'm not in favor of somebody basically getting a hand up to easily get to the point that myself or someone else has gotten through hard work and perseverance. That, to me, is not right. That is dishonest. But I am for giving generously because I feel that I will be judged based on how I treat others and based on how I look towards those around me. There are many people around that I don't agree with. That's okay. There are a lot of people who don't agree with me. That's okay too. What isn't okay is acting like a jerk because you don't agree with somebody, or acting like a jerk because somebody doesn't agree with you, or not trying to understand their point of view and trying to understand the hardships that they've endured. We all have our hardships. We've all endured things that are difficult for us. Now, what is difficult for me may not be difficult for you. Each person is an individual. We all we all have our own strengths and our own virtues. And just because something is easy for me, I need to understand that it may not be easy for one of my sons or my daughters or my wife or anybody else outside of my family. While what is easy for them may not be easy for me. The best example I can think of here is actually from this past weekend. We went snowmobiling, and my brother-in-law is an incredible snowmobiler. And that sounds a little bit trite, but he has an ability with that machine that my wife has explained it like it's an extension of his own limbs. Like he can move the machine with such grace and such power that it is like it's just connected to the end of his arm or the end of his legs. And he has just that innate ability that's been honed over practice and lots of opportunity, but he has that innate ability. I don't have that. I'm here to tell you I am not graceful when it comes to being on a snowmobile. I can have fun. I can go and I can do some neat things sometimes. But more often than not, I get stuck. I fall off. I go crashing into something. I can't count how many times I've crashed through, scrub brush, or at one point a few years ago, I actually crashed through a scrub oak and ended up actually doing damage to my machine and had to do some repairs. Not everybody is the same, and that's okay. In fact, those are the different colors that make our world a beautiful place. We need to not judge people because they're different than us. We need to not judge people because their shade of red is different than our shade of red, or they like red and I like blue. We need to not judge people because of the things that are going to be, that are different for them. As we go out into the world and as we're striving to make our businesses and our lives a better place, as we're striving to attract our tribe to us, sometimes we're going to reject the people who aren't in our tribe. We're going to repel them like a magnet, okay? And that's okay, and frankly, that's good. When we do that, we can grow. We can be more generous with our time and with our favor, and we can spend the quality time that we need to accomplish the things that we were meant to. That's my hope and prayer, frankly, for everyone, is that we can look at others as we want to be seen and give them that measure of generosity that we would hope to receive ourselves. I hope you guys all have a great week. I will have another episode coming this week as well. Can't fall down on the one episode a week goal, and I look forward to sharing that with you. Hey, thanks for listening, and please remember to subscribe. And if you loved us, leave us an awesome review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you consume your podcasts. Now, if you'd like some free training for your team on how your recruiting efforts can be bettered and brought into the 21st century, Go to podcast.mlmrenegade.com and get your copy of the Renegade Recruiting Kickstarter.